Greetings, all. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about was my issues with the gaming industry. Um, Obviously, if you're watching this, you're like me, you like video games, um, and whatever the video game may be. I have a feeling we probably share a similar opinion, and I could be wrong, um, that you're not happy with the way the industry is heading. Uh, I have real problems with what companies are doing, what they expect, how you get less, but they demand more. It's just one of those things that if you're on the consumer side, it's almost like a slap in the face. I have a real problem. So let's go with the one of the first things I'm thinking of. Um, DLC. So this has probably been beaten to death. But if you're like me, there's still stuff I like to find out about it. So I listen to different people, different videos, get their takes on it, see what they think, and there's stuff I didn't know about. So it goes from there. DLC was a great idea in the beginning. It was something where, hey, you know what? We put out this game. It's going to be a little bit till we have the next game. So to tide you over, we'll give you this, and you would pay extra. But it kind of worked out for the company, and it worked out for the consumer. Company, they didn't have to spend extra amount of money for production for the materials. So, for example, the paper, the casing, the media, the shipping, the all that stuff that goes into it to make it and then ship it off and for it to be sold in the store and stuff. So then you got inventory taking up at that point. So with that, it would take a while to get the next game. So with that, it was great because, all right, you're still getting something, especially if you really enjoyed the game. If you really enjoyed the game, it's kind of like a bonus here. It's like, hey, you're going to get a little bit extra to tide you over until the next thing. Or if you're interested more in the story and how it unfolded and it kind of left you on a cliffhanger, this would give you a little bit more, maybe some more details, and it's like, okay, this is why this person did this, and so forth. It was great in the beginning because there was still a good chance it could fail. And that's my understanding with it. There's a good chance it could fail, and if they didn't do it right, it would just fail completely, and it would be something they would have to include, or you'd have to wait longer. I could be really wrong on this, but it seems to be how companies work, or at least a lot of companies, with how they do their operations, where if they have to do everything they can in their power to appease the person that they're trying to sell the item to and build a foundation at that point. And once they build the foundation, then they know that it's okay, it's a steady income or a steady coming in of revenue at that point. So now we can just constantly push it out at that point. So that was okay, and then they started doing some stuff that was a little bit different. So it used to be, hey, this comes with this already, or you would get the game. Then so many months later down the line, they would have this expansion mission pack, and it's like, okay, it's only $4, and you get this, and this, and you get a whole nother mission you can play. So you didn't have that experience before, you get that now. That's fair. So many bucks. I'm not a fan of digital stuff, but in some cases, it's okay. You play through that, everything was great, and then they started doing where it was coming out shortly after the game released. And you'd sit there and you'd think, the game just came out. And it's been 3 weeks and they're putting something out? Why didn't they just include it in the game? That's odd. Okay, whatever. So you would buy it, or in some cases you wouldn't buy it. So you have like two sides at that point. Some people who would buy the game and that's all they're gonna buy. Some people who buy the game and the DLC. But then the companies got a little bit greedier and they were like, we can do more. We can get more out of them. Here's what we'll do. We will create a game and we'll do this thing called a pre-order. And what that'll do is that'll give us extra money. It's guaranteed revenue. People will buy it. They already put the money down. Now it guarantees them the game. And people will be sitting there thinking like, I can go anywhere to get a game. Why would I pre-order a game? Now you pre-order a system, that's one thing. Because there's limitation on resources, there may be issues at the factory, there's work that has to go into it to make the equipment and make sure it works and then ship it out. So that's understandable. But a game, why am I going to pre-order a game? So that didn't really work out too well. And feel free, like I said, to comment and be like, no, you know what, this actually worked here and here and here, and it worked out well. But with this, you can create as many discs as you want. There's really not a limitation. The same stuff that the same plastic that they put whatever the horrible music artist is today, or horrible movie today, is the same plastic that they're going to put this high-end AAA title on. Same paper, same plastic, same casing, same everything. So there really isn't a limitation for that. The only limitation is what they want to make a limitation of. So with that, why would most users buy it? So they had to think about it, and they came up with the idea. We'll have it where there's exclusive stuff that you'll get if you pre-order it, but you won't get it if you don't pre-order it. Okay, what kind of stuff? Well, we'll have some manuals, some stickers, some patches, some cards, maybe a exclusive thumb drive. I don't know. Who knows? So, but you have to pre-order it. If you don't pre-order it, you won't get it. So then it guarantees them sales. It guarantees them not only the sales, but it guarantees them full price sales. That's the other thing. Because you have games and stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, you might have sold it, but the company that bought so let's say, for example, Walmart, Target, so forth, they buy them at a set price, and then they won't place another order until they get to a certain amount, and then they'll place another order. But at that point, it's whatever the rate is for the game at that point. So they'll only pay, let's say they wait 3 months because they haven't sold that many, and now they need more, but now the price is down to like $20. So now they're only paying $20 a game, and then they charge you $30, let's say. So this would guarantee them the full revenue price. So, okay. Then they started doing, well, you know what? We're not getting enough. We're not getting enough. Let's have it where you get exclusive content if you pre-order it from this place. So if you pre-order it from GameStop, you'll get them in a red outfit. If you pre-order it from Best Buy, you'll get this weapon, or this mod, or this extra stimulus pack, whatever the case is. Now here's where it kind of differs, because there's different types of gamers that you have, where some people, they care about that stuff. They're like, well, I have to have it. I need it. You know what? This is all about the experience. I want it. I'll pre-order from here. Then you have other people who are like me, for example, I don't really care about that stuff. I personally care about more the material and what it comes with, something that's like valuable, I guess you could say. Um, I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. I don't want DLC stuff, unless maybe it's like a mission or something that's really adding on to there. So it's like, okay, you give me something like that, maybe I'll do that. Biggest example I can think of is I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. When Mortal Kombat 9 or Mortal Kombat 1, 2009, whatever you want to call it at that point, came out, they had options for the DLC that you could get. And the DLC, you could get the retro skins. And the skins were, if you ever played the first couple Mortal Kombats, they had like the old ninja attire. So the ninjas were like my favorite fighters in those games and stuff. And I really like the old skin. The new skins that they had, or the new, whatever you want to call them, clothing, whatever, they were okay. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't a huge fan. But I saw those and I was like, oh man, I want those. But then I was looking at it and I go, wait a minute, it's just a skin. Like, you know, you can buy them, and I think it's like $2 or $3 more. And I'm like, it's a whole bunch of ones and zeros. It's a text document that has the info on there or points to something that says like, use this skin, make this available. And obviously that's what gaming is it's a whole bunch of things coding wise pointing to different things that allow the game to work. In the same cases with something like that, it's the same things that prevent you from having certain weapons, whether before you beat a boss or something. So as soon as you do that, it writes code and it goes back and forth, and it allows you to access that at that point. Sorry for the morning doves. So you have something like that. I'm like, I can't justify it. I can't spend an extra $5 on this. And then they started getting, so with this, you buy different games and you could get the skin. I think that was the other thing, is that they had it where it was exclusively, you couldn't get this unless you purchase the game. So you purchase the game, you get the Scorpion skin. Then if you purchase it from, let's say, Amazon, like purchase this game from GameStop, you get the Scorpion skin. Purchase the game from Amazon, you get Sub-Zero. Target, Reptile. There was a couple of places actually did like Melina and Katana and stuff, and I was like, that's I guess there's certain people that really want that. For me, it was the ninjas and stuff. And then there was like one of them where it was you could fight as Goro, maybe, I don't know. But so, and then they had the characters. So this one wasn't too bad. This was at least more acceptable. It was some effort on their part of, you could do Freddy Krueger, and I think Kratos. Kratos was exclusive to the PS3. That one I kind of understood because of the whole Sony thing and exclusive rights, so you couldn't put it on the Xbox, whatever. But so there was like limitations with that. But anyway, going back to this, so they started doing all these types of games with hey, you know, you got to pre-order this to get this, do that to get that, and it's like, it's still kind of. Then people started discovering they would download the file. So let's say it was a mission pack or something, DLC mission pack. They would go online, they would buy it, and they would download the file. And when they download the file, it would come up as 2K, 1K. So with something like that, if it's a new mission, there's no way it's going to be 1K. None. Any type of content whatsoever, as long as it's not like text-based, is going to be bigger than 1K. Even audio files, it's pretty much as soon as you have like more than a minute. So that told them that the content was actually on the disc that they bought. and that it was locked to it. So the only way to get access to it is to pay them more money. And I'm saying this, and as I'm saying this out loud, before this I kind of came to an acceptance of it that I wasn't going to buy it, but that this was happening. And now that I talk about it more, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, this is so wrong. But the reason that they do it is because people will pay. If you pay, that is kind of like the biggest way to determine whether something's working or not, is the money factor. Because they can monitor it, and they can get all types of data that they want from it. From there to say like, hey, this is working or this is not working. And that's really as clear cut as it is. It is, hey, is this making us money at this point or is it not? If it's not, let's go this way. If it is, let's keep going this way. Hence why you'll see something that does really bad, like a movie or something, and it almost never gets any further than that. Nowadays it does because it's money, marketing, franchising, merchandising, and stuff like that. But essentially, to determine whether it worked or not, it was like, how much money did it make per week, so and so forth. But people keep paying it, so they keep doing it, and it became worse. So you went from like, okay, you get the game. Hey, you can do pre-orders, you can't do pre-orders, nobody's going to pre-order stuff, so now we'll add incentive for them pre-ordering it. Hey, you get all these extras if you pre-order it. Then at this point, now we got this, hey, you're going to get extra DLC. Well, what's DLC? It's this extra stuff that you didn't get in the game originally. Originally, you didn't get it in the game, and now we have it available, but it's going to cost extra. But it's months and months down the line, so now it's like, hey, there's a little bit extra to get more money out of the game in a sense of get your money's worth, not them getting more money, but it kind of goes hand in hand. And then it turned into, well, you know what? Now it's going to be pre-orders, and it's going to be, hey, if you want this exclusive thing, you gotta do a pre-order. Well, now that's not good enough. Now you got to do exclusive pre-orders. So you have to get it from this store if you want this. If you have to get it from this store if you want that. If you want this, you got to get it from this store, and you got to buy this bundle package. And then they started doing bundle packaging and stuff, and then they were charging for it a ridiculous amount of money. That's the big thing with these, is companies will do as much as you let them do. And then if they have a monopoly, then they really run rampant because there's nobody else. What are you going to do at that point? If there's something that you need, that's the key. You need it. If there's something that you need, then they will do whatever they want if there's no competition. Comcast, for example, they run rampant because there's certain areas where you're stuck with what you have and that's it. I mean, there's differences to that. So, like, for example, internet service and stuff, you can go to a phone and all that other stuff, but you're getting what I'm saying with this. So, they had the games, and at that point, they were doing whatever they wanted. And so, they have all these limitations, and now they're starting to lock the stuff on the disc. So, you couldn't get access to whatever skin. Okay, well, whatever. You know what? You want to take that away, that's fine. Pfft, I don't care. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to go looking for it. But then they did it with a game. I think it was Final Fantasy 13-2. So X111-2. They locked out the ending. So, to get this, the ending is gone. You go on YouTube and you look at it, and it says something along the lines of to continue this quest or to get the complete ending of this quest, please make sure to get the DLC. So, you're telling me at this point this game I bought, this physical thing, I went to a store and picked it up. It's not complete. That's what it is. It is not complete. That's like getting the case with no disc. None. It doesn't make any sense. But the problem is, people will pay for it. They'll complain, and then the next one will come out. And how many people out of that will actually not buy? There'll be some. There'll definitely be some. Some people will be ruined by the franchise. They'll be like, I'll never do that again, or that. So then they just won't buy it anymore. But there's a majority of people who will buy the DLC. They'll go, I spent $40 on this game. It's only $5 to get this ending. Let me just do it. And then I'll sell the game. Well, you're speaking right there at that point. You're saying, okay, you know what? Shame on you for doing this. But then shame on me for spending the money. That's not telling them anything. That's just letting them do what they want. And so you have that, and you get this DLC that's locked. You get games now that aren't complete, and it's just whatever. Spend your money. It doesn't really matter. So that was one thing, the DLC thing. The other thing, I was telling somebody about this, is I feel that games are in some of the worst, not states that you could say, the gaming industry. There's no accountability. There really isn't. So with something like this, you have games that are being put out where you had a game on a cartridge. At the time, internet was not something that was widely available that you could say, well, put this out now. You had to put it on the cartridge. If not, and there was an issue, you had to make good on it somehow. You had companies where they had like mailing addresses and stuff, and you would have to mail them the thing. I'm saying if there was a massive issue with a game, so it's like not working at all. At that point, you could return games and stuff. So people were speaking their minds with that. Hey, you know what? You're going to ship me something that's not even fully functional. Like, I don't know, E.T., I guess you could say, for the Atari. That apparently was a really bad game. I've never played it, but I don't know if it was if it wasn't playable to a point. But anyway, people could, essentially that was the product you had. So Sega Genesis, Nintendo, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 to the most part. But then now you have the internet in here. And why does the internet ruin this? Well, because of the games that they're putting out. So initially it was DLC that they would add to it, and okay, that's great. And it would expand on it. Well, then there would be a bug. There'd be an issue with the game that wouldn't work. Okay. Now people bring it to their attention. They say that they're going to work on it, and they put out a fix. Well, everybody's happy at that point. Games are fixed, everything's working. It's great. But the problem is, not now, but later down the line, 10 years from now, 20 years from now and stuff, those games, once they're put onto a disc, they can't be adjusted anymore. The only way they can be adjusted is if you still have the old system, you install it, and you still have access to those files. You don't have access to those files, the files get corrupted, your system goes down, you have to get a new system. Well, you still have the original disc that you were complaining about back in, let's say, 2000 that was having the issue that they sent you the patch. Okay, you say, well, I'll go send them another request at that point. And will they'll send me the file. Oh, we don't have the file anymore. Our servers are down. We can't get access to that anymore. We'll create a new game, or we'll create a new file that addresses that. Okay, that's great. It's on our PlayStation Network. It'll be $9.99. $9.99? But, well, that's fine that you're creating that and everything, but I bought the game. Well, yeah, but there's no way we can fix that. The only way we can fix it is we created this package, but you have to buy it on the PlayStation Store. So there's no way for us to verify it, but you have to buy it on the PlayStation Store. So now you ship me a defective game that's not fixed. You sent me the file, but now it's my job to sit there and hold on to this file for however many years in case I want to play the game again. And this is happening. This is something that is actually happening. Like, and you go, no, it's not happening. Well, sure it is. I mean, you have games that put out these patches or fixes, and you try contacting the company to get those files. They go, well, you got to go through the store. You try looking it up on the store. They might have removed it. That's the other thing. They might have removed it. You don't have access to it anymore. Okay, well, then you're stuck. You spent $5 and essentially you're spending it on a lease. Or, worse yet, you spend $60 on something. And the game has an issue, but you want to keep it. You play it later. You don't have internet access, and you can't do anything. You can't play that game anymore because you can't get the necessary updates to fix it. What are you going to do? So it's just one of those. And now it is getting worse and worse and worse. Everything is essentially you're buying a disc for access to it at this point, and then you are using it for a period of time. And if you're using it for the multiplayer, you can only use the multiplayer as long as the servers are up. Now, before, they used to be a while. It used to be you'd be able to play games on the server, and it was like, okay, well, it's not too big of a deal, and I understand where they're coming from, because servers are maintenance and costs and so forth. But that was like when they started putting it where a majority of the games are multiplayer based, and that's what people are going for, and now you're cutting ties with those to force people on to the next game. That's fucked up, man. But the problem is you shoot yourself in the foot because you accept it. You are paying the money. You are going through with this, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, not in the sense of maybe buying a game like or the DLC or something, but there's certain things where I only do it if I absolutely have to. Like if the game is only online, and I'm all about supporting online DLC, don't get me wrong. If it is the only way to get it, and it's, let's say, by an indie developer, well, you're a small company at that point. You don't have that much money to be sending out thousands upon thousands of copies all over the place. And Sony's not backing you. So you got to cut corners anywhere you can to at least get to the next level to then move on to the next whatever title you're working on. I get that. But for the companies like, I'm trying to think, there was a few of them where they were releasing updates. Forza, there we go. Forza for the Xbox One. I think it was Forza Motorsport 5. And I was telling people that it was absolutely ridiculous that I had a game that you purchased and it had an update. Right off the bat, it had an update. Well, what the hell's the update for? Oh, it's to fix this and this and this and this. Well, then the game hasn't been tested thoroughly. You're pushing this stuff out so quick that You'd rather get the item out, sold, and then patch it later. And these updates are now no longer small. They are 8 gigs, they are 10 gigs. One of them was 20 something gigs. That's almost the size of the full game. How do I even have a functioning product at this point? What are you fixing? What? Are you reassembling the whole thing? This doesn't make any sense. It's the whole... Now think about this. You have the whole game now. You buy it from the store. You got to get this massive update. Massive. In order to play the game online. Or to fix a major issue that they had. Well then, at that point, the game's not ready for release. It is not ready. Push it back another 6 months. But no, they need to get it out because they need to meet their backers and stocks and stuff by having certain release dates. And the game's got to be released by this point. Then it's more and more money and so forth. So you get that. And it's just... I'd be amazed if the game works at a certain point in time. Now, there are some games you can play offline. These are updates to fix the online multiplayer. I get that. There's some cases where that is the case. Part of another problem is Xbox One. I have one because there are certain titles that I wanted for it. Now, initially, I was going to say, no, I'm not buying this because they had this thing come out where you had to be online all the time. Always online. And if you weren't, you couldn't play the game. That created a massive uproar. So they backtracked pretty quickly. Not as quick as others, but quick enough. So they backtracked from that and they said, no, it's not going to require that. Initially, just for setting it up. Yeah, that's a lie. That's definitely a lie because there are games there. You need to have a profile in order to access the game or continue further. Now, I haven't contacted Microsoft about that because I don't feel like getting into it with them. Just create the account. I was trying to do it where there's a way where I couldn't do it, or that I wouldn't have to create an account and I could just do it that way. I could be wrong, and there could be a way around, but I haven't seen it yet. So please feel free to enlighten me in that case. But so now you have not only the games aren't playable, but now or certain parts aren't playable or they're buggy at that point, but now you have issues where the game is no longer accessible. So you can't even use your game anymore. So if the internet goes out, which that definitely happens, I mean, the power goes out and so forth. Well, obviously, if the power goes out, you can't play the system anyway. But if the internet goes out, now you still can't play the system. So you're making this where it was adjustable and or wasn't, you couldn't play it online, or you couldn't play it at all if you weren't online. Then you backtrack from that, and now you can. But then you put it out, and now there's still some things that require a profile. You have systems where they have their firmware, and they make an adjustment, and then they remove one of the features that they were selling people on. The thing that I can think of right offhand is the PlayStation 3 when they had Linux support, so you could actually use another OS. Now, there's a whole thing of, well, you know, it's their property. They can do what they want. They can release firmwares that they want. You're pretty much signing the agreement that you're going to be using it. You're going to do what they say, type of thing. The thing is with that is I feel like that's really sketchy. That is one of those things where, you know what, it's when you do something like that and you offer a feature and then pull it shortly after. I mean, it wasn't that short after, but it was one of those things where the only way people were noticing is that they would do the update and then it would pull it. They didn't know, and it's like, okay, well, it's their fault that they didn't read it. If you sit there and read every single one of those, you're not going to be living life at that point. You're really just going to be analyzing everything because there's so many software, so many things you use that you have to accept license agreements on. At that point, it's not worth it. So they pulled features like that, and when you do that, you're taking. Some people bought it specifically because they wanted a gaming system, but they really wanted to be able to run Linux. I personally don't understand it, but you know what? I'm not a coder, so there's part of it. But you know what? There are some people where that's what they wanted it for. They wanted it for that, and they're used to doing updates to protect the system from whatever the case may be, some type of security flaw, and then you get this address. So that's a whole nother story. But on the last part, the closing part, which I appreciate if you've been this long with it, I've been sitting there thinking about separating the videos, but I don't really have all the software to do that, so it's going to be all combined. So I appreciate if you've been this far, and let me know what you think. Is the systems, and this is where I'm done. I am honestly done. Is I bought a PlayStation 4, I bought the Xbox One, and I bought the Wii U. And I was okay with these. I was fine. And they have a new set of systems coming out already. They haven't stated it yet. It's all speculation, except Nintendo. I believe that's official. But they have the PlayStation 4. They're talking about it being the PlayStation 4.5, and the Xbox One will be the code name is Xbox One Scorpio at this point, and it's more powerful. You are now essentially turning this into the phone setup that we have with phones nowadays, where, hey, this is the newest and greatest thing, and get this, it'll be available in 2 years, but that'll make yours pretty much worth nothing. When you bought the systems, they were essentially investments for a period of time. When you bought it, you were like, all right. Me personally, I purchased gaming systems initially because that's what I had growing up. I didn't have a computer for a long time, and then I found it too much of a cumbersome thing that, hey, you know, some computer games are cool, but me personally, I didn't like the whole mouse and keyboard thing for a lot of them, especially like shooters. And I like to be able to know that if it has a logo on there, there's certain things I don't want to tinker around with. I want to be able to put a disc in and just go. That's it. I don't want the frustration of an error popping up. I do enough troubleshooting on my own at this point with work and hobbies and stuff. There's certain times I just want it to work. That's why I kind of like some of the stuff with discs and everything, because I'm like, you know what? This was pre-set up. It's designed to work right off the bat. I don't have to think or worry. I just put up my feet and relax. And now you have games where they're talking about speculation that, well, this game is going to be for PS 4.5 or whatever the new name is, and this game's going to be for Xbox, blah, blah, blah. And their answer to it is because, well, we have the virtual reality thing that's coming out, and it needs more power, and so forth. I haven't looked at the specs. I haven't looked at what exactly is demanding on it at this point. But you know what? There's a possibility. Yes, there is a possibility that this is more demanding and it needs that. Okay, that's fine. But I think you owe it to your users who initially invested into the launch date PS4, the launch date Xbox One, before these things were created, you owe it to them to keep the set titles. And have them look just as good and perform just as good within reason to whatever you're producing now, if you're going to be doing that. But what you're going to do, and I've experienced it firsthand, is you're going to oversaturate the market. You are going to make it to the point where it is no longer appealing to have a video game system. It is no longer something that you want to spend extra money on. I mean, it will last for a while, but then there will become a point where, you know what, you go, they're just nickel and diming me. Like, it'll just go off like that. Some people, it's just immediately, they just know it and stuff. But some people overshadow their thoughts on that with, hey, this is really enjoyable. I like what I'm getting right now out of it. I'm completely fine. There's going to be a lot of people like that, but there are going to be people where I think the gaming market is going to suffer. Everything's going to be digital, so you're not going to get that feeling. You're not going to get that feeling of buying something and having it there and being able to, a tangible item, to look at it, look at the artwork. I can't explain it. I mean, maybe it's the age that you've grown up in, where it's one of those things where it was unheard of for people to have music and everything that's not tangible. I mean, you can hold in your hands, you can look at the liner up, and then it got less and less. Lyrics aren't posted in there, artwork and so forth, and people are okay with it digitally. Well, I can't really speak about those people. I still don't really understand that. Some people, they just want the item. They don't want any type of extra headroom or anything like that. They just want the item. They want it digitally, and they want to be able to delete it and then get it whenever they want, or in this case, just stream it. That's the other thing. Just stream it. They just want the access. They don't want anything. They just want like a phone, and they're like, you know what? That's all I have. That's all I need. Just a phone, and I'll get my gaming and everything through there. I look for more of the experience. So you're going to oversaturate the market. You're going to isolate the people that were your core, that kept you around for so long. You're going to isolate those people to the point where now they've got to go digital, and they're going to go through different means and stuff, but you're going to lose a lot of revenue. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I'm really interested to hear what everyone has to say about it. If you think I'm completely wrong, if you think I'm hitting it right on the head, if I'm in the middle, what frustrates you, what experiences you've had. Like my example with Bethesda, and I also have one with Capcom right now with a digital code that is expired from a game that you purchased that was sealed, that was just a digital copy. So, I mean, there's certain things. I'd love to hear these stories just to see what you guys have on your end. And feel free to let me know what else you'd be interested in hearing about. I mean, this is my main experience with this. I can't really comment too much on other things that I haven't experienced. So, for example, like, don't really ask me my thoughts on JRPGs. I haven't really played them. I'd be interested. I don't have one, though, but I mean, I may be interested to try one, but I don't think it's going to be really valuable to you for me to sit there and tell you about a JRPG and my thoughts on it and what I don't like, compared to somebody who's really knowledgeable and who really enjoys them, where they can pinpoint certain things and tell you, well, yeah, this one's okay, but this one, it's all right. It's missing some key elements to it. I would pass on this and go with this. I won't be able to tell you that. At least not right now. But anyway, that pretty much sums it up. I really appreciate you guys watching this, whether it's for a second or it's the whole thing, and whether you comment or not, or if you hit like or dislike, it kind of tells me something. And I'm just more experiencing it and just seeing what your guys' thoughts are. All right. I will try to post something soon, and I will see you guys later.